Hello, YouTube people. My name is Gabrielle, and this is my pup Cash. You can call me Gab. And welcome to our first YouTube video ever. I get a lot of questions on Instagram that kind of just repeat themselves, and so I wanted to create a video to have one place to send people to hopefully answer some of those questions and share bits of life that are a bit longer form. So yeah, let's get started. A little bit of background to start. I am originally from Illinois. I am 4 of 5 children. Grew up with chickens. We had horses for a while, four-wheelers. We'd go camping. I would say it was a pretty classic Midwest childhood. Loved it. Loved my family. Loved my friends. But by the time I graduated high school, I was ready to go. I wanted to go to the mountains, to go just do more outdoor activities. I actually ended up going to school in Phoenix, Arizona. Not the biggest outdoorsy place, but it had access to fun things, and I was excited. So I went to school. Loved it for a lot of reasons. Didn't love it for a lot of reasons. Good reasons. Made some of my best friends. Had a lot of fun experiences. Would go camping, climbing, believe it or not, snowboarding in Arizona. But after 2 years, I was just switching my major constantly, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I started in PT, then tried exercise science, communications, I don't know. Doesn't matter. But basically, I decided I'm gonna leave school for a while. Maybe I'll come back. Spoiler, I did not go back. I think college is great for some people. Wasn't really for me, for what I wanted to do. I guess I didn't know what I wanted to do. It just wasn't helping me figure out what I wanted to do, and it was very expensive. I knew I liked creativity. I knew I liked the outdoors and kind of fitness world. I had seen people running around in these vibey vans, camping and traveling, and I was like, oh, that seems like a really cool way to see the world, learn about yourself. Maybe I could figure out what I want to do. I moved home, and my mom had a painting business at the time. So I was working for my mom, painting home interior, just saving money. And in the evenings, I would be on Craigslist with my dad, trying to convince him this whole van thing was a good idea. We went to Nebraska to go look at a van. Didn't work out. On the way home, found another one, Peanut, and took it home. From there, I don't know, how do I say this fast? Basically, I kept living at home painting with my mom to save up more money so that I could then travel and go work a job or figure it out. I don't know. So I'm saving money. A friend of mine gets an internship in Portland, and I was like, oh, I love Oregon because freshman year of college, I had gone snowboarding at Mount Hood, and I was like, I want to live in the mountains. I want to snowboard. I'm going to move into this van and just figure it out. We both had there at the same time, me in my van, her in her car. I end up sleeping on the floor of her apartment and trying to figure out where I can park my van long term in Portland, which felt impossible. The van was basically like just sucking the bank account dry. These things break down a lot, and I've put a lot into it, and that's, my thing. I chose that. I pretty much immediately needed to start working after we traveled out there. I got a job at a juice bar, didn't love it. Then I went and visited Mount Hood again, and I was like, why don't I just work here and live in my van? Before I did that, I was like, I'm going to take a trip around the Olympic Peninsula with some friends from Washington. Got in the van, went to take that trip. My transmission blew, so I got towed to a shop on the Olympic Peninsula. Didn't really know what to do because this is my daily driver. Half my home at the time. I told the shop owner my situation, and he was like, well, why don't you just work here while we work on your van? So I was like, okay. He let me use one of the shop cars while my van was being worked on. He was going to start a rental business, so I was basically just like stripping interiors of Volkswagens, which I found kind of fun. And once my van was fixed, I decided I wanted to go to this event called Descent on Bend, which I had found online. So I go to this event. My plan after that was to go work in Mount Hood, but I had never seen Bend after this, saw Bend, and I was like, oh, I like this more than Portland, Sandy area. So I start working at Mount Bachelor in 2018, living out of my van around Bend. That was really fun, actually. If you saw a girl up at the mountain driving a janky truck around with a pile of trash in the back, that was me. Lodge services. I had a lot of fun. Wouldn't do it again. But anyways, after I worked at Mount Bachelor, I took a job at a golf course as a bar cart girl. And by this time, my van had other breakdowns I needed to pay for. I worked that job for a summer. Makes really good tips. If you're looking for seasonal work and you're 21 plus, highly recommend working at a golf course at the bar or the bar cart. I don't like golfing though. So after that summer, saves more money, I started doing freelance work full time. Okay, so chapter 2, we step out of seasonal jobs and now living in the van full time. So let me explain how I ended up in freelance work. During all of these travels, breakdowns, trying to figure out what to do with my life, odd jobs, I was sharing photos on Instagram even before I left home. Like I took some trips in the van before I ever moved from Illinois, and I would share photos, and van life on Instagram was just blowing up. So it was really easy to grow your following. I started sharing photos on Instagram from the beginning. So as soon as I got the van, I'm living at home in Illinois, driving it around, taking a couple trips, dropped my sister off at college in Georgia. I went to Colorado. My parents came along with that one and kind of understood why I loved this lifestyle, which was cool. I was doing it just for fun for myself. There was no plan of being like an influencer. I don't even know if 2017 that term existed, at least in the form that it does now. So I'm sharing, picking up momentum, and from there, brands reached out and they started being like, oh, hey, would you wear these shoes in a photo in exchange for the shoes? And I was like, sure, free stuff, that sounds awesome. So I did that, and then a few, I guess, trades later, I was like, oh, this is like a thing. In between odd jobs, Oregon, going to Colorado and stuff, I met some people who were doing similar things, and they're like, oh, well, you should make a media kit. And I was like, what's a media kit? And then someone else was like, oh, you want to work with a specific brand, you should make a pitch deck. And I was like, oh. So I'm researching all these things and kind of just fall into this marketing influencer world. And I learned how to make a media kit, how to make a pitch deck, how to write emails in a more formal, friendly manner to brands, to figure out how to work with them. And I start doing this, and that makes me a little bit of money. I was still doing the odd jobs during all that time, but after the golf course job, when I went full freelance, wasn't making that much on Instagram, just enough to live my life minimally. Then I traveled to Colorado, went snowboarding there for a season, parked at a lot of trailheads. Definitely got some nerve damage because I didn't have a diesel heater at the time. I had like a tiny wood stove that was like vibey and cute, but not practical. Good time, but I found myself always coming back to Oregon. I love it here. So I'm mostly based in Oregon. I wasn't constantly moving around the country. I was kind of coming and going from Oregon. That being said, let's jump ahead. I no longer live in the van. I did for 4 years. Now I use it as a daily driver and adventure mobile. From there, let's see. Well, fast forward a couple years, I'm doing the influencer thing. I'm making a little bit better money each year. Still kind of like, this isn't really what I want to do forever all the time, the only thing. So my camera died. I'm at home now. This video I'm realizing is skipping over a lot of details. So we'll just call this background. And the next one can be a little bit more detailed about like getting into modeling and a little bit of production and how all that meshes together to the present day. If you have any specific questions, let me know. This is very new to me, obviously.